Hello, welcome to the Hypothesis Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Martinez. Today we have special co-host Anthony Gaona and a special guest, Mr. Rush Waghorn. We've known Rush for a while, and Anthony and Rush are really good friends. The first question I want to ask is, where does the name Rush come from? I've never met a Rush before, and I'm curious about the story, and I don't know what your parents is, but I've never heard the name Rush, so I want to start off with that.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. I've been watching all 500 episodes coming out. Boy, that's amazing. And what you guys have done with Hive Mind is really impressive. I wish I had a great story to answer. So I'm adopted. So my parents adopted me when I was 6 weeks old. And my full name is Michael Rush Waghorn. I have two brothers. They're up above us now, and we all went by the three names, right? But we all went by our middle name: Timothy Carter, Richard Clay, Carter, Clay, and Rush. So I would always ask my dad growing up, where did this come from? And he's just kind of a joker, and he would just make stuff up. Oh, I was reading the sports statistics, and there was rushing yards, so he never really gave me the answer. As it turns out, later in life, he sort of. I think I remember him saying, "Well, I knew somebody named Rush." I personally have never met anybody else named Rush until I went off to college in North Carolina. It's sort of, Southern feeling over there. And I met one other guy named Rush, and I've since sort of heard that it's a little bit of a Southern name. I mean, that's my big grand story. But he would just mess with me when I'm 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, trying to figure out, who I am and where does this come from. And he just wouldn't help out. So just a jokester. But I actually tried to change. In 6th grade, I was riding the bus to school, and I was sick of being called Rush because people made fun of it, whatever, in 4th to 6th grade, whatever, kids. And I tried to go by Michael, and it got to the point where people would literally have to scream from a foot away, Mike, because they'd been asking Michael, and I just wouldn't respond. I never could. I didn't really do a good job of changing it to Michael, so it didn't stick. So I'm back with Rush.
Dude, so just for context, Rush is a personal friend of mine. We met in business, but we became best of friends over the years. And I think I love that part of business, man, and just connecting with people like yourself. Like, how else would I have ever met you if it wasn't in business? And I think we could talk about that today, is like the value, the strength of relationships, and I think what they can do, right, moving into different places in your life and in your career. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say, thank you for being who you are and being genuine. I feel super blessed. We met over in Power, and we just stayed friends throughout the last, maybe 10-ish years or so.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Man.
Probably 2016, maybe.
There you go. Yeah, it's about 16-ish. Yep, 16. So we're heading in clear across 24. So about 8-ish years plus.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I feel the same way. I'm very blessed to know you, and I don't know if if we're going to get into relationships and so forth. I think I remember early on, like if I were coming to Austin or something for something family, I would definitely set aside time to go have breakfast with you or lunch or meet at a golf course one time and whatever. You can't blow stuff off. You got to take a little bit of effort to go meet and those relationships. But the beauty of it is so much greater than any struggle with your calendar or whatever, or taking 30 minutes to go see somebody, especially if you're nearby. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting this point across, but the relationship I have with you and the good that it brings to my life is, 100x I don't know if you want to call it the work of the building of the relationship. It's a joy.
No. Yeah,
I hate it when there's dead silence after I talk, because I feel like I really didn't.
No, you're good. A lot of times, me and Anthony, we don't know if he's gonna ask the question or I'm gonna ask the question. So it's kind of there's a little buffer in between whenever you talk. But that's
No, I was gonna say, man. No, I agree. I think that people miss that, right, in business, because especially like in our background. I have a multi-level background. I know you do too. I love the business. I still love it to this day. My mental framework is around, still the multi-level and network marketing. HiveMind has a component of that with the CRM, but I think it's more about a mindset, right, and the kind of person that you are, personality type. So you meet these people in business, and it's a connecting based business, right? And at first you're looking to connect with people, right, to see how they might benefit your company, or how, they help your bottom line, your numbers. But I think, yeah, meeting you, man, it's been a cool experience to see how a person can go from a business contact to a really close friend. And I think people are missing that in the multi-level world, in that networking space, is that, yeah, we make connections, right, to better ourselves and better our business. But I think deeper than that, you can end up with a really, really good friend, man. And it touches so many more points than your business. And I wish more people in multi-level knew that.
It's a really good point. And I would think of it, maybe it's an overused term, but I would call it relationship marketing. So it's even bigger than just multi-level or affiliate or whatever. The skills you learn, let's say you have a multi-level background, or people that have a network marketing background, if they actually learn the skills correctly, it's really about relationships like you're talking about. And then that becomes way beyond just multi-level and the other thing I would think about is for many, many years, I would go in, and I'm a good guy. I have a good heart, and I'm a good-hearted person, but I would go into what can I get out of this? And I can't say I've completely, like, I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but there was a shift a while back, a few years ago, where I tried to become more like, what can I bring to them? And it's really a helpful shift. It's a lot less stress. When I'm going into it for my personal reasons, there's, I don't know, not necessarily an ickiness or whatever, but it's like, I know that I'm being a little selfish, and I'm trying to, what can this guy do for my business? How can he help me build my business? Whatever. When I go into it with, hey, how can I help this person, whether in business or otherwise, just by maybe people I know, or if I have some insight into something that could help them, or if there's business related stuff that I can help them with, if I truly am thinking of trying to just, find good synergies for people and help them find synergies, that sort of raises the level a lot quicker, and it comes back to you. I mean, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't with that specific deal, but it's always good to be known as a guy that's willing to help out, or willing to make connections, or and be focused on other people. I know, Anthony, you know that, and Daniel, when you kind of shift it to less, you're not kind of thinking of it from a selfish motivation, and you're thinking a little bit more from a selfless motivation. It just rising tide kind of thing, it just ends up being better. And then these relationships are more authentic. They're not sort of transactional, and just good things happen. I mean, if we get into it, I can tell you one easy example, but there's lots of them. And I just think that people, if they have the focus of service a little bit more, it's better for everybody.
Absolutely. I think let's jump down to the example. I think a lot of people, as you get an adult, I think it's harder to garner relationships as a whole. I think a lot of adults struggle because I think everybody, when at the high school, you kind of network and you see people every day. And I think if you have work relationships, it's always easy to keep that because you have a conversation every day. But how do you build and create a relationship that you might not see every day? And I think it might be easier for males in general, because I think we're more, hey, I could talk to this guy once a year and I know we're still cool, But
right. Sometimes a gender difference for sure, I would think. Well, and also where I thought you might be going with that is also, as we become adults, we've already got our lives going, right? We're not really, we don't necessarily think we need a bunch more friends or a bunch more relationships, right? Because we got our family, or we got whatever we got going on. We've kind of become a little bit entrenched and sort of set in our ways to some degree. Some people more than others, whatever, but we all get it a little bit. And, and that's why I think, when I was focused on trying to build relationships for my benefit, what's in it for them? I mean, they got their life there. If I'm not offering them something, what's the point? What's in it for them? Why would that motivate somebody to go out of their way where I'm not providing value to them? And I do get older, and our lives get for people, then you really have to be some value, and whether it's business value or just, love and appreciation and the vibes between friends or whatever. I mean, but that's value also. I just think I think, especially as we get older, as you made the point, I think that becomes.
I think that's a huge, I keep saying this over and over again, is that nobody's counting the value of their relationships as like anything like a value like financial, right? Because we're thinking like, okay, business transaction, how much are you gonna make? Here's how much I'm gonna make. But I've been thinking a lot lately. I don't know why. It's kind of weird like that. I always like tend to see the future and then what could go wrong or what could go right. Like, how many friends are you gonna have to call on, right? When you're up there in years, like how many people did you help? How many people relied on you successfully? And how much impact did you make? It sounds cheesy, right? Because we're talking about it on a podcast, but literally, like towards the end of your life, like when it's just you and grandkids are out of the house, everybody's gone. Like, how many phone calls can you make and connect with people?
Well, what that reminded me of is, and this is probably along the same times as I maybe started shifting my mindset to be a little bit more outward focused. It occurred to me, or I read a book, or something got me thinking about when I'm on my deathbed, who's going to be there, or who's going to come to my funeral. And I kind of got a little scared because I know I'm a good person, but was I outwardly being a good person to people? It's easy to say, hey, I have a good heart, but if you don't take the actions that show you have a good heart or that show that you care about people, then they don't know about it. And maybe that means you don't really have one. I don't know. I mean, I know I feel like I'm a good person, but if I wasn't actually doing actions that expressed having a good heart and caring for others and being selfless and trying to help and whatever, then it's not going to create those relationships. And I kind of had a little bit of a, maybe not dark night of the soul, but I mean, I kind of went, wow, I wonder who would show up, and it's up to me to live a life in a way that creates the relationships where people, would show up. And again, I'm not trying to be, like negative about it. It's a funeral and death. That's not really where I'm going with it. It's about the relationships. But it was just a way for me to sort of to think of it in my mind more sort of specifically to create some changes in myself. Does that make sense?
I do a lot of looking back like that myself, man. I'm telling you, like I do a lot of self-reflection, even from that place. Like, what about when I'm gone? What happens to the people that I cared about, and everything that was so important to me while I was alive, what happens to it when I'm gone? And some of that is like fostering those relationships, and and I do it just for probably the same reason you do it, right? I'm not trying to gain anything when I help somebody, or when I guess we're making impact on people's lives now because we hear it all the time, but we're not trying to build that up for ourselves, right? It's just something that you do because you are a good person. I noticed a long time ago that making large checks doesn't bring me fulfillment, but helping them change their life and get success or hit a new milestone in their life, it gets me high as a kite, man. It's an endorphin rush, and it lasts for a really long time. It lasts for at least days, maybe a week. So it's like, it is addicting to help people get to where they're going, especially if you can do it with so little effort or little resources.
Well, no doubt. And you guys, for instance, I mean, you're talking about like, as Hive Mind. I mean, I remember you telling me the vision of it, and it's here. I mean, it's awesome. And it's just a few years later, 2, 3, maybe 4 now. I don't know what, or maybe 5. It goes fast. 3. Okay. But I remember it, and you guys have done it. And I remember you going, hey, somebody in the organization did a land deal or did some kind of deal and got a check for $50,000 or $150,000, and it just literally changed her life. And you were over the moon about it because you truly were happy for her, right? And you had a lot to do with that. She had a lot to do with it too. Whatever. You guys made the portal possibility or the vehicle for it, but she did the connection or whatever, and it literally changed her life. And you couldn't have been more happy. And you didn't even care about, I don't even know if you got overrides or whatever. You didn't give a crap about that part. You cared because it made you just happy. And the times when I've been a part of something like that, I totally agree with you. It's addictive. Remember that movie? I forget the movie, but she goes, and they're endorphins. Anyway, yeah, but the endorphin rush for sure, and just it's great feedback. It's a great feedback loop because it's all good. It's all good stuff. That's just kind of, what do they call it? Virtuous circle. It's going up, whirlwind up,
upward spiral. I love saying it because you can go on a downward spiral, but you can also get on an upward spiral.
Yeah, the upward ones are more fun.
I had this ingrained in me since I was a kid, man, because when I was a kid, we didn't have anything sometimes. We had to go live with an aunt or an uncle, sleep on the living room floor. So we hit rock bottom a few times, man. But something I always remember growing up is my parents always made room to give. Like, no matter how much we didn't have, We always took somebody in. We were helping other people, getting other people school clothes. Like, we were always doing something to help people our whole entire time. And in my mind, I'm a kid. I'm like, we don't even have for ourselves. Where's all this coming from? Right. So I think that helped with my faith in God and us going to church. My dad saying like, hey, God's going to provide. And I believed it. He believed it. And obviously it's been working and serving us well. But, that's, I guess, having that mindset of like, yeah, I'm going to help if I can, no matter what. It's done a lot for my business, my life, my friendships. I've been noticing this to you a lot now. That's something that Daniel and myself are starting to notice more. It's just the quality of the tables that we sit at, right? And that's not to say that people that aren't doing well in business or whatever are low value or low quality tables. But when we are sitting in some of these rooms, we're like, how in the hell did all these people see something in us? To invite us to these tables and to have these high level conversations. It's just a very cool, very humbling. It's an amazing way to go through life. So I think the foundation of what we do, of course, like I said, it's not to gain anything, but what you do get back is tremendous.
Yeah, and you're being humble because you had a lot to do with that. You've created a lot of value, and it's nice to retain that. And we're like that. That's a wonderful lesson that got instilled in you. Even though as a kid, sometimes you're like, well, man, we don't even have enough for us. What are we doing? But in the long run, that service mentality, and that's what we've been talking about, is that's the way to win. It's always going to come back to you. People want to help if they can, but they want to help people that they like and that gave them an excuse to help, right? Because it takes effort, right? We all got our lives going on. So I love it that you guys are sitting at better tables and it's good because you're bringing value to those tables, and that's why it's going to keep happening. It's not for any other reason other than you've created a model, in this case on the business side, but relationships bring value to people, so they want you sitting at those tables.
I have a good question for you. How do you determine who deserves your time and who deserves more time than others?
Ooh, what's a good one?
That's a really good question that I did not prep for.
Check my notes real quick.
I'd like to say that you should. That'd be a nice person way to say that, but that is a legit, because we only have so much time. Absolutely. And putting it in the places that make sense. Like, this may be a terrible example, but if someone's off the rails and you're trying to help them, and they keep just making bad decisions, which you just can't go down that rabbit hole with them, or that downward spiral with them. If it's, I'm thinking of like drugs and addiction, or I don't know, any kind of thing where they just keep proving to themselves, maybe not themselves, but proving to everybody else, gonna make changes if they need to be making changes. There's a point at which you got to cut it. So to give a specific answer, I don't know. It's like what I don't know. Just describe art, but I know it when I see it, or whatever. I think if you're trying to do something for a few times, and then you start noticing that it's just, and it's not even about whether it's coming back to you. I feel like I'm a little bit, but you'll know after a time. Just you got to be honest with yourself on the trying to do here having an effect, and if it then. It's not necessarily my fault. Maybe I didn't try hard enough. Maybe I don't know, but one of the things
I think that's the eternal death.
Sorry to jump again, but one of the things that the books and things like that is the
is what? I lost you. You said one of the things the books talk about is what? Yeah.
Oh, is the ability to say no. Like, I would always, if I got invited to do something or came up or whatever, I'm like, yeah. And then I try to fit it in my calendar. But the ability to sort of have clarity about what we're going after, whether it be business or personal, whatever, if we have clarity in our mind of what it is we want our life to look like, you'll say no and only say yes when you can commit to that thing, rather than what I used to do is just say yes to everything and half-ass commit to things. That's not even commit, whatever. And it's basically, the guidance is, if you want to do it and do it right. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Don't say, okay, yeah, I'll stress on yourself. It doesn't. You end up not. They're with the results and so forth. So so that we can continue to do the right things and give our energy in the right places and things. Awareness and a self side to this.
Man, that was a great segue. Something that I wanted to bring up too is the relationship that we have with ourselves, right? Because that's one relationship that we tend to put on the back burner and not address. Also, when we're in the service of other people, we tend to put ourselves last, and sometimes by accident, sometimes because we're just too busy to think about it. But even building Hive Mind, for the last couple of years, I haven't been working out the way that I'm used to, and I haven't been eating the amazing diet that I've been used to. You might see a little belly on me nowadays. Like, what the heck? Who is that guy? When I looked in the mirror, and I'm like, okay, I have not been taking this serious. So now I'm back on everything. I'm back in the gym. I'm on my green juice. Fasting. I'm going to a clinic in end of June. I'm going to go to a fasting facility where there's no food there. The doctor is just monitoring you and all that. I'm going to be there for 7 days. So just a lot of different things. Like I'm having to put myself first again. Like, I forgot about to take care of myself in the service of others. And that's something that's super, super important, man. But I'm kind of where you are. Like, you're so busy helping so many people, you stop saying no to things. You're like, yeah, I can do it. I can handle it. And then before you know it, like, you've given away too much, or you've committed to things that you wish you didn't. And that's something that I implemented for myself this year. Like how everybody has their resolutions. Mine is I'm going to start saying no more this year. This is the year I say no a lot, so that I can start to guard my time and protect my energy, so that we can take everything to the next level.
Yeah, I think we grow up thinking that saying no is like being rude. Or something like that, and we think we're a bad person if we say no. That's inaccurate. If it's fine. It's just like, look, hey man, I appreciate you asking me to do that. I wish you the best, and I cannot do that. I can't do it. I got this other stuff going on, and I know that I wouldn't be able to do it the right way. So here's somebody I could think of that maybe you might want to talk to or whatever. But I'm out. And there's ways to do it where it's not. I think it's wrong that we grow up with that mentality of thinking that it's being rude. We do have to, exactly what you just said. We've got to do what we can and not do what we can't, and not put ourselves in that kind of pressure situation, because it ends up, you light the candle at both ends, and that doesn't end well. By the way, you just mentioned that you're getting in better shape, and congratulations. But I didn't mind the belly. There's more to love.
More me to love. Yeah, I agree, man. And it does feel good to relax and just eat whatever and just kind of like veg out, kind of enjoy life a little bit instead of being so gung-ho on nutrition and all that. So I can't say I didn't enjoy the break, right? Not having to like monitor every single little thing. But yeah, man, like you said, there's a time. I guess you got to kick it on and kick it back off sometimes, like anything else in life. But no, man, I think protecting your energy, saying no, is probably something that's huge. I grew up like that too, probably since I saw my parents say yes to everything, right? Then automatically I do feel kind of like I am in a position to help. I can help, and I should. But even to that extent, I got to tell myself like, hey, well, we got other things we got to work on. I got other things I have to focus on. So yeah, this time it's going to be a no. And I think people will value your time more than that. If you protect your time more, you say no more often. When you do have that chance to meet up with that person or come to their event or speak at their thing, then they'll appreciate it more, because you've told them no before, so they know your time is very limited.
Absolutely, totally agree. I just got, so I know one guy that I would mention is this whole deal as far as connectors. So there's a guy that runs a 9-hole golf course, super exclusive. There's only 60 members. I think it's probably the most exclusive golf course in the country.
Oh, wow.
It's right across from Wade Hampton, which is a great golf course in North Carolina, and it's across the street from it. But anyway, this guy is great about making connections. So last year, a guy asked to play at Wade Hampton. This guy, Adam, set it up, connected him, played with him, and brought my dad along, and my dad played. And this guy's name is Ken, and he's a super guy. And so that connection happened. And then during that golf round, my dad mentioned that I had gone to Duke. And this guy, Ken, is a huge Duke fan. He's been to every single tournament game, Duke tournament game. I'm talking first round, Sweet 16 round, Final Four, flies to wherever since like 1986. It's got to be like 150 games. It's got to be 100 trips. I don't know. And he's a super guy. And he goes, oh, I got to get you guys up and do a Duke game next year. Sure enough, he follows up. A few months ago, he gets us out we watched Duke versus Notre Dame. freaking puts us up in a hotel. Are you kidding me? We definitely can take care of our own hotel. Wouldn't let us pay for the hotel. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And this all came from a guy making a connection because that guy wanted to play golf somewhere, right? And then he met my dad, and now we're just, and now I'm still in touch with Ken. And Ken and I know a guy named Tyler, and Tyler is connected to Alan Watson, who I've become very close with over the last year, and is just a super stud, former Goldman Sachs guy, and business is absolutely crushing it. And you look back and you're like, you could not have foreseen these steps. You can't. So stop trying. I tell myself, I'm not yelling at anybody else. Let's stop trying to completely manage the trajectory of life. Do the right things. Take care of yourself. Be a good person. Help when you can. Don't help when you can't. Have clear vision. And things are going to happen that when you look back, you'll be like, that's crazy how that happened. And you could never have predicted it, foreseen it, and made it happen, right? I mean, I'm sure you had 1,000 stories with HiveMind about stuff that there's no way you could have predicted the twists and turns.
I have a good question for this. So there's a movie called Yes Man with Jim Carrey, and he wanted to change his trajectory in life, and he just started saying yes to everything instead of saying no. So in your opinion, how do you put yourself in the right position to receive these blessings?
Man, you ask good questions. You really do. Did we lose Anthony?
This is why I'm the podcast host.
Really good. I think the point of that movie is open yourself up to possibilities. It's kind of coming on the heels of the conversation we just had where don't say yes to everything because of like protecting yourself and your time and your energy.
Yeah.
But the message I got from that was open yourself to possibilities and be sort of a yes mentality rather than a no mentality. I have a friend that I play golf with, and he always says, the answer is yes. What's the question? Like, it's a great way to go because a lot more things start to come to you, a lot more invitations or possibilities or places to meet people or golf trips or whatever. There's millions. But then I forgot the second half of your question.
How do you get yourself in a position to receive relationships like that and blessings like that? Because a lot of people, they don't even know how to get in that position. But I think it's an amazing story because I think it's your networking ability that kind of puts you in that place to receive stuff like that.
I think I guess this is all interesting to me because this is not stuff that I have a for or even stuff that I have clear thinking of all the, I don't even have this like clarity in my mind of what I think about this. This is really interesting to be thinking about this stuff and important. I think one, it starts with what we just talked about, self-care. You gotta have a clear vision for the various aspects of your life, and you've got to take care of yourself, like not get spread too thin, stuff like that. When you do something, commit fully to it. And if you don't have time to do something, don't. And I think that, different people have different personalities. Some people just can immediately walk into a room and freaking everybody loves them. And some people, we've all got different pros and cons and abilities and talents and things like that. But I guess the answer from my perspective, and I'll think more about this, but is to put yourself in that position. You got to be out there. You got to be meeting people. You got to be taking calls. You can't avoid the calls. You can't avoid the emails. You can't avoid the chances to go to places. I mean, you've got to be in them. I guess it'd be like, think about if you're dating. If you sit at home and wait for some girl to knock on your door, it's probably not going to happen. You got to get out and do something. Go bowling, do whatever. Get out, do something you want to do, and you'll be surrounded by people that like those similar things that you like. And while you're there, ask about them. Be interested. Say, what do you do? What's your life like? Whatever. I mean, I'm not saying you just drill down into their head and freak them out, but just be a pleasant person. And you don't have to give them the third degree, 20 questions, but do things you want to do, because that's when you're going to meet people that you want to meet, and you'll never know where that might then go. And then you meet this guy, and then all of a sudden it went from bowling to playing at Augusta or whatever, which I have not done, by the way.
So for everybody here listening, be interesting. Be interesting.
Be interested. I mean, because if you're interested, you because we are all our most important person, right? Whether we want to say, hey, we're super great and we give a lot and whatever, and we do, but we are what we care most about, or we should be. Nobody else is. So if you're interested, hey, Anthony, wow, tell me more about that. By the time that conversation's over, Anthony's like, man, that's a cool dude. It's just, it's not even a conscious thought. It's just what happens. It's human nature, right, Anthony? Don't you agree that, people, when they hardly said anything, you just asked a few questions. And I know people have seen this on podcasts and read books about it. And it's not like we're making anything up that's new about be interested, not interesting, because you end up being both when you're interested. But when you're just trying to be only, then that would be focused on them, I think, is kind of how I think of it.
I think I got lucky on that, Rush. I'm like, I am interested in what people do. Like, I think I love psychology. Like in high school, I thought for a while I might go into psychiatry. And I was always interested in what drives people, right? Seeing all the different types of personalities, some people that are up, some are down, and everything in between. So I've always been really, really interested in what drives people. What are they up to? What do they do for a living? Why do they do what they do for a living? There's just a bunch of things that make it super, super easy for, I think, probably yourself and myself to be networkers, because we genuinely care and we genuinely do want to know. Like, we really
That's true. And what I would say to somebody that thinks that they don't naturally feel that way and they don't naturally feel interested in other people is I would say this. I would say, how are you ever going to learn anything? How are you ever going to learn anything if you don't see different perspectives and listen to different stories and meet different people? Otherwise, you're just going to be the same exact person you are, and you're never going to, there's no growth in that. So even if somebody doesn't feel innately good, easy to do that kind of stuff or whatever, and I will say this, I'm a lot better at it than I used to. I'm a lot more comfortable with it than I used to be, because I started trying it. So there's also that. There's baby steps, man. Just because you don't feel comfortable with it, I mean, the first time you picked up a golf club, you're better now. The first time you started to drive a car, you're better now. The first time you did anything, you're better now than you were when you first started, right? So give yourself a break and be willing to learn. I mean, that's where the juice is, right? And then the learning is cool, but then the relationships that blossom from that and the potential synergies that you could put down into numbers later, like business deals or whatever, that's fine. That comes, but that's not the motivation.
Yes, it's not exactly the sauce. I know exactly what you're saying, man. I was going to ask, this is something that I wanted to bring up because it's something that's been on my mind and I haven't addressed yet. How has golfing affected your ability to network? And Daniel probably has another answer for this one too, but because you guys are both golfers, how does that work for building relationships, friendships, any of that kind of stuff? Do you get any value from that?
I do. I'd love to hear what Daniel has to say, but absolutely. I mean, one thing is, and I feel very blessed too, because I understand, golfing isn't something, some people just can't. It takes a lot of time. It's not cheap. I understand this. People could go, oh, well, I don't have that. So, you got a benefit that I don't have. It's easy to ask those questions in that environment, right? If you're playing golf for a while. Now, most of it is like good shot, hey, haha, jokes, that kind of stuff. So you're not really getting super deep with people, but people, if you comport yourself well, that alone opens the doors for then when you're afterwards and you're having a drink after or whatever in the bar or in the, getting some food, then you can, then things tend to, you get to know people a little bit better. And I have met so many business connections that have turned into other business connections and also friends. And I just got invited to go to, it was a bucket list item for me, Shadow Creek out in Vegas. I've been wanting to go for years, right? This kind of exclusive golf course out there. And, networking with those. Now I get that's a golf specific answer, so that's maybe not as
no, that's what I'm looking for specifically, because I feel like that's kind of like in game, like networking, like with some high level people. So that's why I'm very interested.
Oh, and then every one of these guys, real quick, Daniel, every one of these guys is now doing we're not talking about my business now, but the capstone deal where this legislation for the CARES Act is such a no brainer, but it's all about getting in the door and letting people know about it. Once they know about it, 100% of them do it because it's free money. And that has created a lot of those relationships because now they know and they like you. They've played golf with you, or they've done something with you, bowling, whatever. And look, there's other people doing what we're all doing. Now, you guys, maybe that's not true because you've developed something pretty specific that's awesome and unique. So, but in the most cases, if somebody's selling something, somebody else is selling something, that same thing. But if they don't have the relationship and you do have the relationship, the people are going to sit down with you and they're going to make time for you. If you say, hey, I had 30 minutes, whatever. I had a lunch last week with the CEO of Mary Kay.
Damn.
Yeah, whatever. And for the last year, And finally I said, hey, can I take you to lunch? I want to share this with you. And so I think people are more open to it when you have spent enough time where you weren't that they can hear it easier. But Daniel, I've been cutting Daniel off for 5 minutes, so I want to hear this.
All right. So I'm really glad you asked that question, Anthony. This is a good question. So I love golfing because Rush hit it a second ago, but you have like 2 to 4 hours, depending on your group size, to spend with that one person. And like usually when you have a dinner, you're kind of chomping that food. You have to like wipe your face. You're not trying to like slap down that food if you have to. But like when golfing, it's kind of laid back. It's very laid back. Some people drink. Some people they mess up tees. You see them at their best and their worst because not everybody's good at golf. People just do it for fun. So you kind of see the rough edges too, and they're a little bit more vulnerable because you see the rough edges. Like if they slice a shot into the rough, then you're like, "Fuck, that sucks." But it's golf. It's going to happen. They miss a putt. Everything that's good and bad happens on the golf course because it's a longer time allocation with the single person in a unorthodox space. If you're having lunch with them, it's going to be a different setting and conversation with them in lunch than it is golf because it's very unorthodox. So I like the golf side of it because you cut through all the BS very directly by the time the golf game's over in one round.
I know a guy, this is years ago, but I know a guy that would go play as a single at a municipal every couple times a week. He loved golf, but there was another motivation to it. He wanted to meet people and see what happened. No agenda, no specific agenda, but he wanted to meet more people. Like some people go, like I have guys that made money, but they drove Uber for a while because they wanted to meet people, whatever. But golf, I agree with you completely. People are focused on their golf game. So they're kind of, they're not in business mode or in sort of protection mode or whatever it is, I don't know. And you do get to see the true nature of people's personality. There's no doubt. It brings it out.
It brings it out. The good answer.
Fast to say for better or for worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a great question. I love the question and I love the responses because, like I said, we don't get it very often, and I feel like I need to golf more often just to get those type of relationships going. Because I golf with like one person right now, and we golf like twice a month or so here and there, or once a month. But I need to go golfing more because it is fun. I do have fun with the conversation side of it.
I have a confession to make. So I've gotten this close, right, to getting out there and start golfing. I haven't played since 7th grade. But instead of me going myself, I'm just going to put Andrew at the Dominion Country Club and let him go network. I'm going to subcontract it out for right now, for better or for worse. And then I'll eventually get myself over there too.
Oh, you just created a whole new success theory, which is virtual networking. or you get somebody else to do your networking. Working for you, right?
I hired it out. I'm going to hire it out.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's what they say. The other thing that's, another thing that's really good is to so you try not to do everything. You don't have to do everything yourself. Do the things you're good at and then sub out the things you're not, like the accounting or the whatever, I never thought about it with networking, but
I'm getting a lot better at that nowadays, man. Getting out of my own way because I'm sure maybe like you guys, you're both type A personalities. You want to do everything yourself, and I would say within the last probably 6 to 12 months, I've gotten really, really good at relinquishing control and just let other people take it. And at this point, I'm just like, hey, if it costs me 25% of my revenue or whatever, I'm good because it removed mostly all of the hours off my plate. It took a pretty decent crowd of people to replace myself, but I think I've done it with everything that we have in place now, and it does still feel kind of like I gotta call them, I gotta check, but I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna let them burn it to the ground if that's what happens. I have to get to that point where I have to extract myself or I'm just gonna die, man.
Well, a couple things. One, you want to make sure you're vetting the people out and picking people as good as you can, and then if over time it's not working out, you change them out. But I totally agree. Let's say you're given 25%, but all of a sudden the circle goes to 1,000%, right? Because it allowed you to focus on the things that create the and people. You're bringing other people along with you too. So I mean, it's all good.
Absolutely.
One of the things I struggled with forever was this scarcity mentality. Like, oh, there's only so many things. There's only so many sales to be had. There's only so many people out there. It's baloney. There's
Infinite.
plenty.
Infinite buyers, infinite sellers, and you just got to be in the position to receive it. Ooh.
I think that's what our multi-level, our network marketing business model has instilled in myself, is that there is unlimited everything. There's unlimited capital, unlimited people, unlimited relationships, unlimited sales, and you don't need it all. That's another thing that I had to teach myself, is you don't need it all. You just need a tiny, tiny little piece to have the best life ever. So
Ooh.
I think that's something that I've mastered recently, is just knowing that I'm just going to just carve out my little tiny piece, and just that's all I really need. There's no need for more, because I'm just going to give away the excess anyway. That's all we're going to do. So I know Daniel has a hard stop here in about 5 minutes. Daniel, you got some closing questions you want to ask this man?
No, I think we're good, man. I think we covered a lot, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it's some good questions.
I want to go deeper on this one, man. We should have part 2 of this one, because I feel like this was all very surface level. I feel like we could have went a lot deeper on this one.
And the time went by. I mean, we've been on 40 minutes, and it doesn't even feel like it. So that's one of the beauties about having conversations.
I wish I had more conversations like this. This is cool. This is a great venue, or whatever you want to call it, vehicle for starting to think about and kind of clarify your thoughts on things that are important.
And it gets deeper, man. The cool thing that I found out, because I didn't really enjoy podcasting in the beginning, but I found out that the longer you're on, like if we went to like an hour and a half, you go really, really deep. It goes well beyond surface level, and not a lot of podcasts make it there, because it's over in 30 or 45 minutes. But when we're on with somebody for a lot longer time period, some really, really cool stuff comes up, man. And you're like, I got some stuff off my chest I've been needing to say. So we're definitely going to do part 2 of this building relationships thing, man. I think you're one of the best in the world that I've met at this. Definitely one of the best in business that I've ever met, man. So I just appreciate you as a friend and a business contact, and I know we'll be buds for life.
Well, there's no doubt. Back at you. And I will say that this has been a blast, and I feel the same way, Anthony. And Daniel, super impressed, man. 500, that's awesome, and you're really good at it. And get out there and play some.
Hey, if you need a third or a fourth, just let me know.
Come on. Hey, well, for sure, anytime you're in Dallas, and if I'm out in California, or let's plan it.
All right, sounds good. For everybody here, go like, share, subscribe. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Rush. Thanks, Anthony. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you soon.